Okay, here I am. Sorry about that. I'm a couple of minutes late getting started again. I was trying to recapture the business rules document that I had started this morning and then didn't save. I'm going to save it again right the frick now so that I don't lose all of my information. All right, and I can go back into editing and share my screen. I'm very quickly just setting up or re-recording my business rules during the time a subscription is paused. The customer can access the free features when the subscription resumes. Access to the paid features is restored, and the billing period and the next billing date is calculated from restore date plus days remaining when the subscription was paused. And we can back that out. Brainstorm ideas. Consider exporting a small handful of NPCs and later other game world items in a monthly newsletter to, I just spotted a typo, anyone in the user list who is not a current subscriber perhaps compile a digest, handful of NPCs, that I've generated for my own purposes. Perhaps compile a digest of NPCs and other world items that I've created during my own usage into a yearly PDF for sale as a one-time purchase. Sell the gravy. All right, I just wanted to capture those those mainline business rules. So we've got paid versus free decision guidelines, subscription guidelines. I want to add a note to the paid versus free decision guidelines. If a particular future feature carries a high value, consider making it a paid only feature, regardless of whether it consumes pay as you go resources or not. Commit changes. Because I might come up with a really, really cool and useful feature at some point in the future, and it would be incredibly valuable. Hey, what's up, C Films? How are you, buddy? I think in that case, I need to put that on its own line. There we go. I think I need to consider making that a paid feature, so that my paid subscribers feel like I'm adding value constantly. Yeah. I think the free features eventually will become exceptions rather than the default, um, model. Pardon me. All right. I just noticed that my cam is at a funny angle, so I'm going to tip it up like that. All right. So there's business rules. And let's dive back into our use case documentation here. We're going to pause and resume subscription. All right, activities, receive subscription paused, event in webhook. Yeah. At the admin API. Okay, and that's where we left off this morning. One, validate that the data in the request is correct for the affected customer product. One, if not valid, log and send do something with the ecom system to roll back that change. I'm going to change that to parentheses because apparently using square brackets in Markdown means something special. Review docs for details. 2, if valid, update the customer's subscription and quota records in the product's local database. Two, send an email to the customer notifying them that their subscription has been paused, will resume on date. Has been paused. Will resume on date, and that their new billing date will be recalculated billing date. Okay. Message the admin system via webhook. Enters the date to pause and optionally the date to resume. If possible, limit the duration of the subscription. Let's fix my spelling. Also limit the number of times the subscription may be paused during a year. Need to define year. Calendar year or trailing 12-month period. Let's hyphenate 12-month. Activities. Receive subscription paused event in webhook. From webhook. At webhook. At the administrative API. Receive subscription resumed. Setting context. Event at webhook. 1. Same steps as for subscription paused. Upon verification and validation, forward to admin API, administrative API, forward to appropriate endpoint on the administrative API. Spelling and typos. Receive subscription resumed. Event at API. Oh. Superscript 2. Superscript. Let's come down here. 2. Receiving events at the administrative API is does not necessarily mean we are implementing a message bus system. It's an ambiguity of language. It's an unfortunate ambiguity of English that suggests that for now, the intention is an HTTP call. This may change during architecture and detailed design phase of the planning work. All right, I wanted to call that out. I'm saying the event arrives and stuff like that. And for people that do systems development, events and commands have the words events and commands have special meaning that sometimes trigger specific thought processes in our minds. And I wanted to disambiguate that. And it's not SEP, it's SUP. Gosh, my brain today is just not with it. Okay, resumed event at webhook. Appropriate endpoint on the administrative API. Now, I haven't started naming my endpoints yet. And there's a reason for that. Pardon me. I'm going to save early and save often here. Just to keep me from making the same stupid mistake I made this morning when I was capturing some of my business rules. All right. Receive subscription resumed. 1. Validate that the data in the request is correct for the requested operation on the supplied customer and subscription identifiers. 2. Calculate the new billing period. Calculate the new billing date for the subscription renewal date. Update the subscription status to be active once more. Restore the quota data to the values it had when it was paused. Set subscription status to paused. Set subscription renewal date to null. Maybe. Set a flag on their need to make the product code aware that a subscription may have different statuses. Must block access to paid features during the paused time. All right. I'm going to repin this message. What am I doing? I'm a silly goose. Never mind. All right. Send pause subscription command from admin system. One. Find customer. Identify subscription to be paused. 2. Send a request to the e-commerce system to pause the identified subscription. And that's it. E-commerce systems API to pause the identified subscription. And I think that's about it. Limiting the ability to pause to a certain amount of time that the subscription is paused is a thought. I don't love it, but it's a thought. Limiting the number of times that somebody could pause their subscription throughout a calendar year is something a little bit more concrete that I feel is appropriate. Like if you're reactivating it for a day, create and generate a bunch of new characters, and then immediately deactivate as soon as you're done. And then just use those characters in your game sessions and so on and so forth without continuing to pay for those tokens and the storage and all of that stuff feels a little cheesy to me. Pardon me. Identify a subscription to be paused. Okay. And let's save this. It just occurred to me that in the business rules, my proration rules have a potentially dangerous gap in them. If a customer cancels their subscription, they will receive a prorated refund based on how many days they have remaining in their current billing period, adjusted for quota consumption. So, if somebody signs up for a paid subscription, generates 100 AI descriptions in their first day, and then cancels and asks for a refund, it's the AI generation and storage that they're paying for. And they've just consumed all of that, all of what they've paid for, and now they want their money back, prorated. That isn't going to work. So I'm going to need to have a more sophisticated proration calculation there. To account for that issue. I may even need to reconsider the quota concept. But no, I really like the quota concept with a monthly allotment that you purchase in advance. Fee on this to cover transaction costs. Yeah, that's all stuff that's going to have to go into terms of service and so on. And I'm going to want to run a lot of this stuff past a lawyer friend of mine for advice. before I commit anything to an official terms of service or end user license agreement. My goodness, the things I didn't have to, or I never imagined that I would have to think about as a developer of a software product. Oh, if I had $1 million, I'd hire a business analyst, I'd retain legal assistance, all kinds of things. I'd maybe contract with a marketer on retainer, but I do not have $1 million. But if I had $1 million, I'd be rich. All right, let's talk about discontinued subscription. And I'm using discontinue instead of cancel because they've got two different contexts here. Discontinue means stop billing me, don't bill me anymore. And we're going to let them run out their current paid for time and quota, whichever they reach the end of first. Cancel is stop billing me, give me some of my most recently paid money back, and revert. So discontinue subscription. Let's start editing. And discontinue refers specifically to the customer request that we no longer bill them on an ongoing basis. Excuse me. They will retain access to the paid features of the product through their current billing period through the end of their current billing period. When that period lapses, they will retain read access to those items they have created within the product. Commit changes. I want to save. And I want to go back to pause and resume and see how I did the headings in here so that I can keep it consistent. So process, activities. I haven't documented steps yet, but I'll get there. All right, so process and activity, basically the business analysis taxonomy that I'm using is heading 2, and then the detailed activity names are header level 3. So let's edit. Important points. Process. Activities. Process. English step by step. Discontinue subscription will always be initiated by a person either the subscribing customer or an administrator. The process will be initiated either through the e-commerce service portal, either through the account portal provided by the e-commerce system or the administrative system we're building here. 3, once the request has been will route to ecom system API, come back to our system for local processing. With a period inside the parens there. Once the request has been submitted and processed to the ecom services, processed there, that service will communicate the event to the local admin system via webhook. The local admin system will make the necessary changes to the customer's subscription, quotas, account permissions as needed. Customer subscription, quotas, and account permissions as needed. Commit those changes. And in typing that, I remembered, oh crap, under new customer sign up, if e-commerce transaction is successful, purchase event, webhook verifies, admin API receives, validates the inbound data for correctness. Create user subscription record in database, create user quota records in database. I need to edit this. Add the user's identity to the appropriate user groups as defined for the selected subscription type. As defined for the selected subscription type. Thank you and getting started email via the e-commerce service. Yeah. Okay, commit those changes. All right. Let's go to new customer sign up. We just did. Let's go into pause and resume subscription. Receive subscription paused event at the admin API. Must block access to paid features during the pause time. Yeah. Edit. Can back that up by 1. Come out to the end. Pop that in. Remove the user's identity record from the appropriate paid user groups in the ID system. All right, I need to pause and be right back, but it'll just be a minute or two. I shall return. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Now let's go here and remove the user's identity record from the appropriate paid user groups in the ID system. Commit changes. Boop. Let's go back to discontinue subscription and edit. Make the necessary changes to the customer's subscription quotas and account permissions as needed. 5. Send an email to the customer confirming that their subscription has been discontinued. Activities. Boop, boop, boop. Process incoming webhook request. Process subscription continued. Webhook request. Setting context. Handle subscription discontinued. Command at administrative API. I'm going to say request. All right. 1. Verify that the sender of the webhook request is valid and authorized. 1. If not verified, return the HTTP status code as specified in e-commerce vendors integration docs. If verified, continue. Two, validate that the event data is well formed and complete for the requested operation. If the data is not valid, return grab this, copy, paste, period. If the data is valid, caps that, forward the message to the administrative API for local system processing. Valid for the message to the administrative API for local system processing. Handle subscription discontinued. Okay. 1. Validate that the discontinue event data is correct for the identified customer and subscription. That's awkward. Cut product identified in the request. We're going to need to flesh those rules out, but I'm not thinking about that stuff yet because we don't even know exactly what that data looks like. 2, if valid or if not valid, we're going to need to perform some kind of compensating activity to get our systems back in sync with the e-commerce services systems. If valid, and let's uncaps that. If valid, one, update the customer's subscription object to stop billing and updating the quota on their last paid on the day after their last paid day. And that's it. reconcile expiring subscriptions with the identity service one, on a daily basis. We need to retrieve a list of users who no longer belong in the paid users groups in the identity service. Remove any of the users that have been identified but have not yet been removed. And we've just identified another piece of software that we're going to have to run on a daily basis on a schedule. I wish there was a way to change text color. Commit changes. Boop. Okay. And I actually need to go out here into my projects. To do design, come up with a design for to allow us to run scheduled processes I'm going to rename that. Yeah, no. Save, edit. Going to need to run some processes on a daily basis. Reconcile active paid users against between the product database and the identity services. Reconcile subscription changes between e-commerce service and product database. Update. And that's just something for me to keep in mind and remember for later. That's the whole reason I just added that. So let's go back to here. And where's my repos? Here's TDMF admin. Go back into docs. Use cases. Here's discontinue. Retain read-only access to those items they've created within the product. Always being issued by a person. Yeah. Process subscription discontinued. Webhook request. Handle a request to the admin API. Reconcile expiring subscriptions with the identity service. And that should not be expiring, but expired. the identity service. Commit changes. Okay. And I think that's enough notes on discontinue for now. Cancel. This one's going to get complex. Let's pop out to here. I will add cancel subscription .md. Commit changes. Excuse me. Now I need to grab, oh yeah, I'm going to need this. C. Search replies to API call with a cart URL for the purchase. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Happy path. Identity the appropriate user groups. Good. All right. This. I'm just going to copy this. I didn't make any changes out here. Come into discontinue subscription. Oh, good. I already added the back button. And now we got to go into cancel. Edit. Cancel subscription. Paste. Cancel should be an exceptional case. All right. Process. Activities. 1. Cancel should be initiated only by a customer or product administrator. Cancel should be an exceptional case. Canceling a subscription involves a refund, prorated refund of the most recently recent payment. Spell it right. And immediate revocation of access to paid features. Cancel should be initiated only by a customer, which I mistyped yet again. Customer or product administrator. It can be initiated either through the e-commerce services account portal or the administrative system. The cancel refund request will be performed entirely by the e-commerce portal wait, the prorate calculation and refund activities portal upon completion of that activity, the ecom service will notify the admin service via webhook. The admin service will zero out any remaining quotas, immediately remove that user from the paid access groups. Superscript 1, footnotes. Actually, I'm going to grab this. X. Make it a tier 3. 1. Proration calculation should consider any quoted usage during period being prorated. We don't want anyone signing up, using up their allotment of AI tokens, then quitting, requesting a refund on the same day. Need to research how we can get the ecom system to request that more complicated prorate from our system. All right. Prorate calculation should be performed by prorate amount is calculated for the refund is made to the customer by the ecom system. Five, 6. So I feel like the cancel process is going to be a bit of a back and forth between ecom and my system and so on. Okay. Activities. Ecom system has initiated the refund and is notifying the administrative system of the cancellation via webhook. 1. Webhook message is verified as webhook code verifies the sender of the message. If not verified, return error code. If verified, continue. 2, validate that the notification data is complete and properly formatted. One, if valid, if not valid, return error code to sender. Return error code to sender. If valid, forward the request to the administrative API. Cancel subscription event arrives at administrative API. Calculate refund request arrives at administrative API. Are we going to need that? And I just got to look at the time. Arrives at administrative API. All right. And notifies the administrative system of the cancellation via webhook. Webhook verifies the sender of the message. Not verified, return. Continue, validate. If not valid, return. Otherwise, for the request to the admin API. Administrative API. And I'm going to detail these things out tomorrow. We're going to have to do a little bit of mathy math stuff. But for today, I'm going to commit this change. Boop. I'm going to come out to use cases. And I'm going to edit this. I'm going to copy discontinue subscription, this URL or this markdown link. Change discontinue to cancel. Detailed cancel subscription steps. Commit those changes. Save. And we've got ourselves a happy little hyperlinked specifications. All right. And as we go, we're going to get more and more of these things detailed out, and we're starting to see some more commonalities here. Like, we're going to need to have some common code that allows the webhook to validate or verify that whoever's calling into the webhook is the system we expect it to be. And there are ways that are documented in the various e-commerce system API documentations and developer guides that talk about how we can verify that an incoming webhook call is coming from them. Validation of the message data. We're not necessarily validating that the data in there is necessarily correct for the operation that's being requested. What we're doing is we're validating that the data is correctly formatted and complete for the operation that's being requested. There's no way we'll be able to do within the context of a webhook processor. Well, we could reach out to the database and pull the customer's information and their subscription information and perform all of that validation there. But I don't think that's necessarily the right way to do this, because we want our webhooks to basically very quickly accept or reject the message and then pass that to our system for processing when our system gets around to it. I don't like using that language, like the eventual consistency, because the definition of eventual for a human is hours or days. Like, you've dealt with getting a refund from a bank or from some company, and then your bank messes around for a week before the money finally lands back in your account. Eventual consistency for computer systems, in many cases, is seconds or fractions of a second, or in some processes that don't have to be done right away but could be batched out and processed as a batch later on, maybe hours, maybe minutes. So the eventual, and when I say when the system gets around to it, I expect these processes to be executed within moments of the received webhook notification passing the initial checks and being forwarded to the system. So yeah, when I say eventually, I'm thinking in terms of how computers measure time, which is in microseconds, not how humans perceive time, which is that took a long time, or that was fast, or oh my God, this is taking forever, because our brains are not fantastic at time. So we've had another productive day. We've gotten a lot of a lot of these features and the details sort of chased out about how we want these things to work. We've made some realizations about our prorate methodology. I was originally thinking we would just prorate based off of days remaining, but because we have expensive consumable items that are included with each monthly subscription, we I realized that we need to account for how much of those items get consumed before the cancellation request comes in. Because if somebody comes in and generates 100 AI descriptions, that's going to cost me the same as if they had paid their full month and just discontinued at the end. Versus the more common cancellation scenario where, we automatically renew. The person goes, "Oh crap, I can't afford this anymore, and I forgot to discontinue last month, and then I got laid off a week later, and oh gosh, hey, listen, I'm in a fix. I need to cancel my subscription, and it totally slipped my mind, and I can't afford that $10 you just charged me. What can we do?" At which point, our system should be able to say, "Okay, well, you haven't used it. All right, based on time." Versus the person that renews, uses most of their generation quota, and then says, "Haha, I'm going to get these for free," tries to cancel. Well, yes, we'll cancel you, but you're only getting the amount that you haven't consumed back as a refund. So yeah, that that feels like a pretty good place for us to wrap up. Now, I do have to go do some real world stuff, and that luckily that real world stuff is directly related to what we're doing. Um, I had some things that I've been waiting on to happen finally happen yesterday and this morning, and I can go do other things, and that means I'll be able to start connecting entities together and actually have a small, tiny, self-funded operating budget for the short term before I start getting paying subscribers. So cool. I'm a break for the day. I'm gonna wish you all happy coding, and I'll see y'all again next time. Take care, everybody.